Hello, everyone. Pat down at MMA back with episode 29 of my DWCS breakdowns. Going to be getting into an intriguing welterweight matchup between two young prospects in Mo Ado and Jonathan Micallef. So, going to be getting into Canada's Mo Ado first. So, Mo Ado is 5'11 and 24 years old. He has a 5-0 professional record with one knockout win and four submissions. So, all of his wins come by finish. He fought in Unified MMA out in Canada and also appeared on Dana White's Looking for a Fight. He was on one of the most recent episodes, I'm pretty sure, and he was able to win that fight and impress Dana enough that he eventually got this opportunity on the Contender Series. Mo Ado is always very serious inside of the cage and very composed. He always stays calm and he's always just, you could tell by his face, he's always like scary looking and just shows no emotion in the cage. He uses his lead hand well to manage distance. He constantly just hand fights with his lead hand and is able to manage his range and kind of keep his opponent at bay by just hand fighting. Ado uses a lot of feints to be able to set up his strikes and has a lot of good power and timing on those strikes when he does decide to throw them. He switches out stances very well and can fight in either stance for a long period of time throughout a fight. He also has a very nice southpaw jab. I love his southpaw jab and a really solid 1-2 from the southpaw stance. I feel like he probably boxes better in southpaw, but kicks better in orthodox, but he can do both in either stance. Nadeau has some really long legs. He has very clean and quick head kicks, and he can land them at very close range. He also has some really nice leg kicks that he just constantly uses to keep his opponent at bay on the feet. But the thing with Ado is he really doesn't use volume on the feet as much as you would think. He does have the range and he does have the length. It's just he doesn't throw as much. He's a bit lower volume. Ado also is a bit weaker on the striking defense side. He does keep his hands low and gets hit a bit too much. And really, he doesn't have the best reactions to being hit at times. You can tell he really will like stumble and like just the way he reacts to being hit isn't great. And he is a bit sloppy in the pocket, and I don't love the way he fights against southpaws, and his opponent does happen to be a southpaw, so that will be interesting to see. In the clinch, Ado has some really good body knees and some really nice elbows, but he can kind of be tossed around and controlled pretty easily. He does have some solid takedowns against the cage, but he does shoot very slowly. Like all of his takedown attempts are very slow. He does have some big slams, trips. When it does get to the floor, Ado is very good at controlling on top, and he does transition very well. He's kind of always moving and trying to look for different positions to work from on top. He really does like to get to the back, though. That's where he's the best on the ground. He works to the back very easily and really can use his ground and pound and set up his rear naked chokes, which he loves to use. I think he has three of his wins by rear naked choke. We'll say, though, Ado can give up top position a bit easy with just some mistakes and reversals. There's just certain times where he shouldn't be giving up position where guys are able to get up. He has some really good get ups and is very flexible. He can kind of just thug out arm bars and like, like limb submissions where he can use his flexibility to stay out of trouble. I will say though, I don't think Ado has the best takedown defense in open space or the clinch, and he can be out grappled in scrambles. I think Ado's fight IQ overall is very high. I do think he is a very smart fighter, and I think he processes things very well inside of the cage. So now moving on to Australia's Jonathan Micallef. Micallef is 6 foot tall and 25 years old. He has a 6-1 pro record with 2 wins by knockout and 2 wins by submission, and he's the former Hex welterweight champion. The thing with Micallef is he doesn't have any full pro fight tape. It was just highlights of some of his pro fights and then full footage of some of his AMI fights. So I'm definitely not going to sit here and act like I have the full picture on who he is as a fighter, but I am going to try to give you guys what I do know. So Micallef is a southpaw. He has a very stiff jab and a very sharp straight left, and he throws that 1-2 a lot. He constantly is using that 1-2 to try to dictate fights. And he also has a really nice lead right hook that he uses to kind of just swing over the top of opponents' guards and catch them on the temple. He doesn't throw too many punches though, and he doesn't sit down on punches as much as I noticed that he used to. During his amateur career, he was really sitting down on his punches and throwing with some really nice power, but over time he kind of stopped doing that, and now he isn't as powerful on the feet with his punches, in my opinion. I think he still has the capability, just not something he really does a lot anymore. Micallef throws kicks really well to all three levels. He's very quick. He knows how to target the body very well and just place it in the right spot. He also uses the leg kick very well, and his rear head kick, his rear left head kick is nasty. It has put some dudes out cold, and it is a tool that will definitely be seen in this fight for sure. Micallef also has some really nice side kicks and some really solid knees, and his head movement is pretty decent as well. But overall, I don't like Micallef's striking defense. I think he gets caught with his back against the cage too much. He gets caught moving in a straight line forwards and backwards and has been dropped before because of that. And he has been clipped in the pocket and just kind of shells up under heavy pressure. I also feel like he could use his length better at range. Yes, he has some good kicks, but I feel like he doesn't use them to dictate range as well as he should. I feel like his fight against Alden Bates showed a lot of his deficiencies in his striking because he really kind of did just get beat up on the feet in that fight. Bates just put it on him with the boxing, and Micallef had no answer when he couldn't get the fight to the ground. But on the ground is where Micallef really shines. He has some really good takedowns. He uses his tosses and his trips very well to get the fight to the floor. And he really just likes to get on the inside, wrap his opponents up, and get the takedown from there. You could see on the feet in his recent fights, he likes to strike a little bit, but he really is just looking to get in the clinch and land the takedown. He's a really nice body lock takedown as well. He kind of just drags his opponents down with it, and that's something that I think we will see in this fight because Ado is susceptible to kind of being rolled around in that body lock position. And he will continue to shoot takedowns even if he is unsuccessful. So he does have that heart in him that he will not be deterred. If he has a game plan that he wants to use, he will use that game plan. I think Micallef's control on top is also pretty impressive. He's good at using his punches to set up his submissions and has a really nice arm triangle choke and some good Kimuras and arm bars. Like his Kimuras was a very dangerous submission when I saw it used in his fights. He also has some really good grappling defense himself. He's very good in scrambles, but he can be pulled to the ground. Usually he is the better grappler in his fights, but he does fall victim to being susceptible to being taken down. If he does end up on his back though, it's not the biggest deal because he does have submissions off of his back and he can work get ups off of his back and submissions. I'm also just honestly not the biggest fan of Micallef's fight IQ. I feel like he could be smarter in a lot of situations, and I feel like he doesn't think before he does things at times. Micallef's cardio does seem to be good, though. He went 5 rounds before against Joseph Luciano and seemed to be going pretty fine throughout 5. At the end of the 5th, it did look like he started to get the pressure put on him a bit, but with a minute left in the 5th round, I really can't say your cardio is bad. So for my prediction for this fight, it's a pretty tough pick because honestly, both of these guys kind of excel in areas that the other does as well. They're both really strong grapplers. They both have solid submissions, both have really good kicks, and don't use their hands a lot on the feet. I think this is almost a mirror match in a sense. I think these guys do share a lot of similar traits. The only difference is, I will say, I haven't seen the weaknesses in Mo Ado that I have in Micallef because Micallef has the loss to Alden Bates. Ado doesn't have the loss like that. So that's the one thing that kind of makes me lean towards Mo Ado in this fight is that I haven't seen him get beat up the way we saw Micallef get beat up in that fight. But I could easily see Micallef being the better grappler in this fight, being able to control Ado on the ground, or even landing like a massive head kick on the feet and rocking him and then finishing him off with strikes. He could even win a decision. Like, there's a lot, like, both these guys are very capable of winning the fight in every way. I'm just not too sure which one will be able to implement their game plan the proper way and be able to get the win. I think I am going to lean that Mo Ado does get a decision win here. I feel like it will be a very close fight and both guys will have their moments, but I feel like Ado does have a little bit more power in his punches because he sits down on his strikes more. I feel like he might rock Micallef on the feet and take a round like that, maybe take a round with his wrestling, something along those lines. I could see this being a very close fight though and going the other way, but give me Mo Ado to win a decision here. I wanted to thank everyone for coming on to episode 29 of my DWCS breakdowns. I hope you all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for the rest of my breakdowns this week, and I hope to catch you in the next one.